Hey moms, welcome to the Gather Moms podcast. My name is Kate.
And I'm Rebecca. We've created this space just for you because we're both moms and we get you.
Yes, we believe there truly ain't no hood like the motherhood, and we need to be in this together. We also believe we can't mom well without Jesus, so you're going to hear us talk about him too.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Gather Moms and make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss a single episode.
All right, mamas, let's jump in. Hey moms, welcome to episode 72 of the Gather Moms podcast. And my co-host Rebecca is off living her best life in Greece. And so I am joined here today with the third prong of our Gather Moms leadership team, Jenny Worsham.
Hello, moms. I'm so happy to be with you guys today, jumping in Rebecca's spot.
Yes, Jenny, welcome back. You've been on every season of the podcast so far.
Yeah, I guess so.
You have.
Okay.
But for those moms who haven't met you yet, tell us a little bit about you and kind of like what momming looks like for you.
Yeah, so I am a mom to two kids. So I have a 12-year-old son named Noah and an 8-year-old daughter named Emma. So I keep telling people I feel like we're kind of in the golden year of parenting. I feel like I'm starting to see the exit out of it as he's nearing the teenage year next year.
Yeah.
But I feel like right now, you know, they can take care of themselves. They can make their own breakfast and lunch.
Right.
They really get along well. And so I feel like it's just like this golden era that I'm trying to hang on to as long as possible before they hit the teenage years, and who knows what's going to happen.
Because next year Noah will be in 7th and Emma will be in
3rd.
Okay.
Yeah. So he starts middle school, turns a teenager.
Yeah.
So, you know, I can already see it coming, but right now we're just in a suite. They're in the same school. They walk home together. It's just real sweet. So
I love it that you can see that and know to cherish it.
We are trying to cherish it. So,
and then tell us, you know, what do you do and what do you do when you're not momming?
Yeah, I am a CPA, a certified public accountant. I work in tax. I've been in public accounting at a firm in downtown Dallas for the last, well, really, I guess 24 years. I started there right out of high school, which is crazy. Yeah. And I've spent my entire career there.
Okay.
Recently, God started doing a different work in my heart, and I don't like change. So I was, you know, pretty okay with how things were just because that's how it had been between my responsibilities as a mom and a pastor's wife, helping lead Gather. My plate was pretty full just as it was, and God started showing me that there might be something more or different for me, and it was pretty unexpected. So we can talk about that a little bit more later, but I do tax work for a variety of different kinds of client, and then I also jumped into a new realm of the world of teaching this year, and took on an adjunct professor job.
Which was very eye-opening, wasn't it?
It was very eye-opening to the world of college students and their lack of care about all the things. Yeah. And so it's been a really interesting semester. Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Lots of new things for you this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Lots of new.
Yes.
And, you know, in addition to your two children, you have recently adopted 21 caterpillar children.
Yes. So during quarantine time, you know, we thought you were all bored. We're like, we'll adopt some caterpillars. Yeah. And of course, my kids loved it and wanted to keep doing it.
Because you bought a kit, right? Like a
net.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they're real cheap.
How do you lure the caterpillars in? Like honey, cheese?
No. They only eat milkweed.
That's the only thing they eat?
That's it. So if you don't have any milkweed, you're out.
How do you know what milkweed looks like?
Well, it's a challenge. I wandered through the fields the other day when a friend told me that there was milkweed in her fields.
Okay.
I didn't find any milkweed. I was like, I don't see it. I don't know where it is.
Okay.
So it's very difficult to find the milkweed.
Okay.
All the nurseries around are out of milkweed. So So originally, my sister bought me a plant and said, "Hey, I think they'll come lay some eggs on here. Your kids can do it. My kids will do it." And I was like, "Great,
cute."
Well, then she said, I don't see any eggs on this plant. I don't think this is going to work. I'm going to go buy you another plant. So she came with another plant. That one actually had eggs on it. So we got 2 caterpillars. We're all good. I was like, this is plenty.
Okay.
Well, then I went out back to the original plant the other day and I looked and there was like 21 caterpillars crawling all over this plant. And you feel this responsibility, like the mother in you is like, I've got to help take care of these babies.
Yeah.
Like, There's a shortage of butterflies in the world, apparently. Monarch butterflies.
Really?
So they fly to Mexico in the winter and then they come back, but like only 5% actually make it. So anyway, I'm trying to preserve the monarch butterfly population. I didn't know that it was a passion of mine.
Earth. Yeah.
But so now they're just taken over in my netting and I don't have enough food for them. But thankfully, they are all starting to climb up to form their chrysalis now. So I think they're done eating. They're like 3 inches long each and there's a bajillion of them.
Wow.
It has been quite the adventure. So
when do you take the net off so that they can fly free?
Yeah, once they come out of the chrysalis. So like another 10 days or something.
Okay.
So they're all going to hang these chrysalis. So my son kicked a soccer ball the other day, hit the net, knocked a chrysalis off. He comes in like almost in tears. Mom, I'm so sorry.
Oh.
And I was like, I told you to keep the ball away from the net. But, it happens. And I hear that one will come out, but maybe be deformed. I don't know. We're trying our best over here.
It's like having baby chickens or something.
It's too much responsibility. I'm out next year. I cannot handle it anymore.
Okay, well, this was a very big learning experience for me because I did not know that the only thing that they would eat and attach to was milkweed. I mean, haven't you ever read The Very Hungry Caterpillar? Like, they're supposed to eat hot dogs and pie and things,
No, nothing but milkweed. It's crazy. And apparently it's poisonous to all other animals. So that's why they have their stripes that are so bright, is so that they have milkweed in them. And so that animals are like, oh, leave him alone because he has milkweed in him. And so like dogs can't eat it. Like it's poisonous. So
fascinating, Jen.
I don't know. It's a whole world. Okay. I'm not a homeschool mom anymore, but I feel like one.
That's right. They're learning. Your kids are going to be caterpillar experts.
Yes, we are.
What if you could send a kid off? They could go to entomology at A&M or something.
Sure. As long as I'm not doing it.
So this season we're talking about interruptions.
Yes.
And, we've already kind of mentioned just this year so far has been about interruptions for you. Yeah. But recently your home has been interrupted. Yeah. Like I know, my home was interrupted earlier this year. Tell us what these projects that you tackled in your house.
Yeah, so our dog of 16 years passed away in January, and we had been waiting for her to pass away. It sounds really terrible. I really love animals, but she had lived a full and very annoying life. So we were ready. Just the carpet upstairs. We got the cheapest carpet when we moved in 11 years ago, and the kids had stained it, and the dog, and all the things. So we knew that when I finished tax season, April 15th, that we were going to do a complete overhaul of the carpet and paint and things like that. And it was just a big project for any of y'all that have done that. And you just came out of renovation.
But mine was one room. You had to move out of the upstairs.
Yeah, like our master's upstairs. So it was 1,700 square feet of space that had to be cleared of all things.
Oh.
So every closet, every game closet, the whole playroom, the whole thing. So it was I took a whole week cleaning out everything. So now all that's in my garage to have a garage sale. So come buy all my junk. But
it'll feel so good once the garage sale's over. Isn't it going to feel so good?
Yeah, because I'm getting it's just like going to the trash or, Goodwill or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So this was kind of a planned interruption. But do you feel like you anticipated the level of interruption this was going to be?
I don't think you even can. I thought that I was going to take a day and do a kid's room each day, and kind of tackle it. And it took at least that. And then, so I spent my whole week off after the deadline, not at the beach somewhere, but like in a closet. And then I got the rooms done. And then it was just like so many more things that had to be taken care of. And, then we did the baseboards downstairs. So all the downstairs had to be moved away from every baseboard. It was just a lot.
That is a lot.
So, I don't think I've fully recovered from tax season because I rolled right into that.
Yeah.
And it was just, a major, when you felt like this, when your bedroom was in your office and like everything is everywhere, that you just feel very unsettled.
It's very unsettling.
And, we just couldn't get back to normal as fast as possible. It was just a lot. So we're glad to have that behind us. And now the kids are asking to put up the pool in the backyard again. So move on to the next project.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Next. So have you put everything back up on the walls yet?
No, I haven't done any of that.
That's a whole,
yeah.
Okay, good.
Because all the nail holes are patched, you
right.
know, so I'm like, I'm just going to leave it all clean and perfect right now.
I understand. So. When we moved into this house and the walls were all brand new, pristine and everything, it took me a long time to like commit to putting nail holes because I was like, I'm just not ready. I want to make sure I like it.
Yes. Yeah. But I'm glad to take down a lot of it and old pictures and, you know, it's just time to refresh sometimes.
Yeah, that's great.
It was good.
So the other thing that we started talking about, the big interruption, you kind of started alluding to it with your job and everything. So tell us about this like major interruption, this major change that you did not see coming.
Yeah.
That you've kind of gone through this year with your job.
Yeah, I think, sometimes God has plans for us that we don't see coming, and I think it's for the best, because it'd be too overwhelming for us if we saw too far ahead of what's going to happen. Yeah. And so for God just to bring things like in his natural timing is just, it's just, even with Gather, just how he has just organically, naturally grown it and just given us what we need to lead it as time goes on.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the situation at my office, that I'd been there for so long and the firm had grown so much, and it was the level of work that they want to take on and are doing was hard to do on a part-time basis.
Right.
And so I felt frustrated, and, as a working mom, you already feel, guilt for the time that you do work. And so when you do work, you want to feel like you're actually, benefiting the company you're working for, and that you're being successful, and that you can, hopefully be promoted. You want to feel that reward for the time that you're giving up away from your kids. And so God just started doing a work in my heart, like maybe there's something else that's the right fit for you in this season of wanting to have more time to spend on Gather and the dreams that God's given us for that. As well as my kids are getting older and getting into busier seasons, just to be able to be at home a little bit more and have a little more flexibility in my schedule. So God just made a way for that with them wanting to move some clients off that were not the right fit for them, and me enjoying working with those kind of clients. And so I took those on and decided in the middle of February, honestly, really last minute, that it all kind of finally came together that I was just going to start my own accounting firm and roll off on my own after 24 years of saying, oh my gosh, that sounds like the worst idea in the world to be on your own.
Amazing, Jenny.
But it was, my husband keeps looking at me going, I just am so amazed that you're so calm about this, because you hate change, and you've just been like, all right, let's do it.
No, you have handled this amazingly. Like it's you did not skip a beat. It's honestly been amazing to watch, and I'm so proud of you.
Well, it has just been it's the Lord. Like when he tells you to do something and he calls you to do something, then you just feel a peace about it. Yeah. And any other time I would have said, oh my goodness, no, that sounds like the worst idea.
Yeah.
But when he just kind of guides you in each step, I just kept saying, okay, sure, I'll do it. Sure. So, and then the accounting professor thing kind of was the same thing. Like God had just been putting on my heart to seek out what it would look like to teach at the college level. I love the people at Dallas Baptist University where I'm at, and just God opened a door for just a hybrid class, so I wouldn't have to be there all the time. It was just every other Thursday night. So it's just a good little way to dip my feet in, and but it's definitely interrupted our life and our family, just readjusting to, fitting in different things into our patterns of life than I used to have. So
I just think about the mom who's listening that, God has put a dream in her heart, or he's starting to make something clear, and it's going to take some courage and some faith to step out, you know. What would you say to that mama?
Yeah, I think if God has put a dream in your heart, just keep doing the next thing in front of you.
Yes.
Just take the next step.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did throughout, even meeting with Dallas Baptist was just, okay, God's told me to just check into this. Mm-hmm. So I just emailed the lady. Then she said, well, let's come in and meet with us. I was like, okay. So I went in and met with them.
Yeah.
And then they said, well, what about this class? And so I prayed about that. So it's just one thing after another. So just letting God lead you and in his timing. And if you hit a block where you're like, I don't think this is the right thing anymore, then just back away, you know, but just keep moving forward with the dreams that God put in your heart and just see where he takes it. And so, I think as a working mom, sometimes we feel like we don't have bandwidth for our dreams or things, like we're just trying to keep everything together with our kids and our jobs and things, but just allowing yourself a little space to dream. Maybe that's an afternoon sitting at a park or something, or just some time in your backyard, just, letting God build those dreams inside of you and see what he has for you in store for you. So
I love that.
I just wrote a blog post that we're going to put out this next week. And, I think a lot of times we feel like that our job is just that. Like it's not something that we have meaning from. And I read a book that I mentioned in the blog post that was just really encouraging moms to see your job as something that God has called you to, in the ministry that you have there, and that it is more like a vocation of the voice of God calling you out to that, and that it's not a negative thing to have a job, but if you aren't being fulfilled by it, and if it's more of a burden to you, then it can be a negative thing. Yeah. But if God has put you in that job, that he has a purpose for you there, and that he's going to provide for your needs of your kids, and you feel guilty of leaving them, but God's going to provide that. If that's where he wants you to be, then he's going to provide for their needs. Yeah. And if he wants you at home, then he's going to provide for you financially. So wherever God calls you to be is where we want to be. That's right. Not just somewhere because that's what we have to do, but really seeking God's will and seeking where he wants you to be.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's such a good word. I think moms go through so many transitions. It does feel like, and maybe this is wrong for some people's experience, but from what I'm seeing and from the ministry that we do with moms are often the ones transitioning more. Transitioning to home, or transitioning their job, or changing their jobs so they can accommodate the children. Yeah. Moms are so often the ones transitioning, and it can feel like a lot. Yeah. All of that change. Yeah. And so I love what you said, because I think whether God is calling you to transition or to start something new or to launch something, it feels very overwhelming when we think about the whole enchilada all at once, right? The whole big deal. But you're saying just do the next right thing. Just take the next right step. Don't think about the next 30 steps. Right. Think about the next one right step.
Yeah. And God's going to just guide you from that point. If you have, I think part of it is just opening our hands to him, because we tend to just kind of grip on to what we have and close our hands and hold our grip tightly. Yeah. But when we release our hands and open our hands to him and say, God, you have your will, that all I want is to be where you want me to be. That's when he can begin to move, and if you're not happy where you are and you don't feel like you're where God wants you to be, then just spend some time, with him. The Bible says, be still and know that I'm God. Just get away with him and tell him. Say, God, I don't feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be, whether that's you're a stay-at-home mom and you would like to find a job, or you work as a mom and you feel like things are out of control in your life. God doesn't want you to feel like that. So finding time just to step away for a little bit and say, what does God have for me? I don't have to stay where I'm at, and God could have something different in store.
That's good. Yeah. And just keep asking him. The Bible says, ask, seek, knock. Yeah. It's not a one-time question. Right. It's just a petitioning, every time it comes to your mind, God, show me where I'm supposed to be. Yeah. That's
absolutely.
Good. So, as working moms, and I experience that too, because I work part-time from home and you work from home. Yeah. And it's bittersweet, right?
Yes.
I'm so thankful to be able to be here. Yes. And I know so many people would love that. Yes. Right. So I even hate to complain about working from home. And I do go into the office sometimes, and really I love having that hybrid opportunity, because when I'm in the office, man, I get so much work done. Yes. And I'm just focused there, and I get to see the people I work with and things like that. Yeah. But then working from home is such a blessing, because you can see your kids and you can be present for things. But anyway, it's just that tricky balance.
It is, for sure.
So we have summer coming.
Yes.
And so then it gets really tricky just having these kiddos home.
Yes.
And, I was thinking back to like last summer, because I work part-time for my dad's company, and then I do gather.
Yeah.
And I remember we were on family vacation at Schlitterbahn, and I had to leave Schlitterbahn, go to a Starbucks where I could get good Wi-Fi and meet with you guys and Right Now Media to plan stuff, because that's when they were available.
Yes.
And I feel like, we're up against some of that sometimes, where it's like.
You did that again on a field trip recently, too.
I did it. That's right. I had to get on a call at a field trip, and it's just kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is kind of how it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's mom interrupted, like you're saying. I mean, that's being a working mom. You can't segregate things into boxes. Like everything flows into one. Your kids, if they get sick, you can't go to work.
Right.
Like, you know, especially if you have a husband who has a full-time committed job. And moms are in every different walk of life and season. So, you know, there may be moms listening that love working and their husband loves staying at home. There may be moms listening that are single moms and they have no choice but to work and get in a real bind if the kids are sick. Some moms have family nearby that takes care of their kids while they work. Some moms have no family nearby. You know, there's a whole different situation for every single mom. And so, you know, no matter what that is, work and momhood are always going to be like a flowing back and forth.
Yeah.
You know, there is no like separation of a 9 to 5 job. Like if your kid needs you, you're going to have to leave the job and figure it out. You know, there's just, it's part of it. And I think we try to, you know, box it off as much as we can, but and then I think we get frustrated when we can't, you know, when I'm trying to work on a work call and the kids, and I've already told them, hey, I'm going to be on this call for the next, for the next 30 minutes. Don't come in unless the house is on fire. Right. You know, and they're, well, but what if my leg falls off? Or, you know, I'm like, maybe come in then. I don't know. And then, you know, they're like bouncing in the door. Mom, I'm like, what did I just tell you? So I'm over there, you know, giving them the like, cut it out, and or staring at them and like wave a go away with this mean look on my face. And, you know, and you're trying to look professional on one end on a phone call. And then you got these like kids running in your house. Yes. And so it's for sure a challenge. And summer is for sure a challenge. Yeah. But I do think that the one good thing from the pandemic is that I think there's a lot more grace for people, because I think when everybody got sent home to work from home and there was all the viral videos of the professional men, you know, and their kids coming
that hilarious
in,
news,
that British news guy or something. Yeah.
His kids coming in, that sweet wife trying to get him.
Trying to pull him out. Yeah. I laugh so hard at that. Yeah. But I mean, it's so true. And I think people have a lot more grace for it now, you know, than they used to. But there still is that feeling as a mom that you're supposed to put your children aside to do your job. Yeah. I don't think that's real realistic. And I hope that society continues to overcome that and allows moms more flexibility to take care of their kids, to take time off for their kids, and encourages that instead of discourages that in the workplace.
So how do you do it? Like, you know, like practically, I mean, because, you know, you do need to work and you will have these children home and they want to spend time with you. You know, what has worked for you to kind of be able to do both of those things?
Yeah. I mean, I think letting go of some of it, you know, just telling the kids like, hey, this afternoon, y'all can be on screens. I got to get some work done.
Yes, girl.
We're not going to the water park every day.
Yeah.
You know, that's why we have a pool, you know, that we put up in the backyard on the side of the house every year, because I can just send them out there and not have to drag them up to the neighborhood pool, you know? And so that, I think, just finding those little things and trying to find them some structure too, because otherwise the kids are going to veg on their devices like all day long, right? And I'm just in there working away. And I'm like, oh, y'all didn't eat lunch? Oh, you're still on your device in your pajamas and it's 3 o'clock. Yeah. So trying to find some structure for them, I think, is helpful. You know, like I try to have a few things we'll work on during the summer, whether it's like a theme of a Bible verse that we want to study, or little workbooks or something for them to do, or structure like, hey, you need to practice your instrument at this time every day, or you know, things that they don't normally spend as much time on during the school year, and then using that time to get work done when they're busy doing things like, okay, this is Lego building time, or but then just letting it go. Like if you're going to work from home, like they're going to have to, that you can't entertain them all the time. No. So they're going to probably watch more screens than a mom that takes her kids to the pool every afternoon. And
and God bless the mom. I mean, listen, even if you are a stay-at-home mom and you don't have to work, like it's a lot to be with your kids every day, all day in the summer, and especially like when it gets hot, you know? I just think we need to take the pressure off of being the cruise director for our
Yes.
children's summer experience.
Amen.
You know?
Yes.
I mean, my parents were certainly not
No,
like that.
no.
You know?
Yeah.
So where have we gotten this concept that it's supposed to be Fun City every day,
Yeah.
you know,
No.
all the time?
What are we doing today?
Yeah. They need to be able to make their own fun. They need to be
Yes.
able to come up with stuff, you know? And it's okay for us to say, hey, screens are off. Y'all go do something for a few hours.
Yeah.
I'll turn it back on at whatever
That
o'clock.
doesn't involve you. Like,
Yeah.
so much of it's like, oh, Mom, will you help us fill up the water balloons? Will you
Right.
help us set up the slip and slide?
Yeah.
You're like, listen, I meant by yourself.
Right.
I don't have time to entertain you all
Yes.
day long.
Yes.
And that's okay. You let
Yeah.
them figure it out. You know, you can set boundaries on the screens, you know, let them have some, but of course, mine just tend to get too grumpy if they've been on the screens, and then it's just a downhill slope
Yeah.
if they've been on it for more than
It
2
does.
hours.
I know,
So,
same. Because there is that tricky balance of like, if they're on it too long, they become little monsters.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. So it's a trial and error, and every week is different. And you know, some weeks they have camps, and
Right.
you know,
And that's the other part too, is I feel like I get so where I want, you know, all this structure and them to be doing all these things, but then they'll go and do a camp and they come back exhausted. And I just need to let that stuff go. They're whipped.
Yeah.
You know, just let them rest, let them hang.
let them veg on the couch for
Yeah.
the afternoon. So
Yeah.
and then you can get some work done. Yeah.
Tell me, you know, we're talking about working moms, and we have so many of our mamas are working moms. I mean, it's interesting. I wonder what percentage of our moms that are with us are working moms, at least in some capacity, you know, whether it's part-time or from home or hybrid in some way, or teachers.
Right.
So many of our
Really,
moms.
even I think like homeschool moms, I think
Yes.
that is like a job.
Yes.
I mean, they can't do a job because they are doing a job of teaching their kids.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when I think about it, I don't really think of anyone that I know that doesn't have some kind of something that they do to
I
fulfill
agree.
their time.
Yes.
Or, you know, or they're volunteering and not
Yes.
getting paid for the job they're doing.
Right.
So
They're
I
working.
think
Yeah.
most moms have something, or they have very young kids that, you know, demand all your time and attention. So
Yeah, it's such a tricky thing to talk with moms about. So when I first, you know, I'd been a teacher, and then I first started staying home with Caleb, and people would say, "Oh, you're a stay-at-home mom." Like, do you see my head tilting to the side? Like, "Oh, you're precious. You're not
look at
doing
you.
anything."
You just watch Oprah all day.
Exactly, you
Yeah.
know. And so I have tried to figure out a good way to ask a mom, like, do you work outside the home?
Yeah.
Like, just to try and understand where she is with
Yeah.
like this momming thing, because are you working outside the home or are you working inside the home? Because
Right.
you're working.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
It's just tricky.
It is. It is. I laugh all the time on people's tax returns when the husband puts the wife's occupation down.
Yeah.
And it just says housewife. I just think that's such a funny term. Like,
It is.
that we're called a housewife. But no, I think moms, it's very touchy. I think that moms who stay at home and don't have an outside employer, I guess we could say that,
Yeah.
feel that they aren't, you know, contributing enough to the family, to the finances.
Yeah.
They feel like they, you know, shouldn't stay home, or maybe everybody else has a job.
Well, and it's Groundhog's Day and you're with these kids all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and it can feel trapped. It can feel like a lot.
Yeah, it feels like a lot.
Yeah.
And, you know, some moms are like, that is not what I want. Some moms love that and can't wait for the day that they can spend all day doing that.
Yeah.
God just created every mom differently. And so I think when we try to put boxes around like, oh, you're a better mom if you stay home, or you're a worse mom if you put your kids in daycare, or all of the like misconceptions that our society has put on moms,
I know. It's just
that
nonsense.
it's just crazy.
It
So
is.
that's why I was saying earlier is like, be where God has called you to be. And
Yeah.
if that's at work, then he's going to fill in the gaps, and your kids are not going to suffer for that. You
Yeah,
know, that
that's
if
right.
you're intentional with them with the time you have, then that may be a lot better than a mom that's home all day and not intentional with them and yelling and so frustrated and doesn't want to be there.
Sure.
You know, every situation is different.
Yeah.
And so stop judging each other. Stop thinking of other people as being a better mom than you are. And just realize that you're supposed to be doing what God has called you to do. And no matter what that looks like, that he's going to fill the gaps in for that for you.
That's a good word. So where do you feel like you have struggled the most as a working mom? Like, what has been the hardest part of it for you?
I think saying no to things,
Okay.
because I am trying to do both the worlds. I'm trying to feel like I'm kind of a stay-at-home mom because I work remotely, and I haven't always worked full-time. Like I'm not in an office building from 8 to 6 o'clock every night, you know? And so I feel like, oh, well, I'm home more. So I need to be up at the school. I need to eat lunch with the kids. I need to go on field trips because I'm not a full-time at the office working mom.
Yeah.
But then when you add up all the hours I spend between Gather and my jobs and my professorship and all the things, it really is like a full-time job.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to act like I'm not a full-time worker, but I still am.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to fit it all in, and there's too much a lot of times. So I think learning to pick and choose what to say yes and no to, how to balance my time. I've been reading a lot on time management and trying to improve my efficiency on things and working when I'm the best, when my mind is the most focused. And there's a few in the blog post. I put a few things about that too, a few different time management techniques that are helpful for people to try to figure out how to make the most of our time. Because as moms, we're just always struggling with that. Like we feel like there's not enough time to get it all done.
Or energy.
Yeah, or energy. Yeah. And
like, oh my gosh, I don't know what has been going on with me lately, but I just, I have so much to do. Yeah. And then I'm like, I cannot keep my eyes open, you know?
Yeah. I sit on the couch with my laptop and I'm like starting to fall asleep.
Yeah.
No, and I put this in the blog post too, but I was talking with a sweet mom friend that we know in China. And she's a Chinese mom with 4 little boys. Yeah. And we were on Zoom with them the other night, and I got to see her. And she said, Jenny, please tell me, I am so tired all the time. I'm just so tired. Yeah. Are you?
Yeah.
Is this normal?
Yeah.
And and I was like, yes. I was like, every mom I know struggles with that, feeling overwhelmed and tired. Yeah. And it was just like refreshing to know that all over the world, moms feel the same way, and the same struggles is that we just feel like there's not enough time to get it all done, and we are exhausted. And so I think, it just goes back to being and doing what God has called you to do. Yeah. And if a commitment that you're involved with is not in line with what he has for you, then you need to step out of that. Yeah. And even if it's a good thing.
It's so hard to say no to good things.
So hard. I mean, I was up at the school decorating teachers' classroom doors at 10 o'clock. On Saturday morning before I ran to games and practices and all the things.
Listen, I saw them post. Okay, for our listeners, it's Teacher Appreciation Week. Yeah. And our PTA decorated all the doors of every teacher.
And it had to be every single door or no doors. Every door in the whole building.
So how did you even get roped into that? Like, I never got an email or anything.
Are you a room mom?
No.
Okay. I did not sign up to be a room mom because I said this year I'm not.
Yeah.
But our room mom was not able to fulfill it, so I got selected to become the other room mom. And then, it's just, it's how it goes. Yeah. And so everybody else wasn't able to help. And I was like, well, I guess I have an hour from 9 to 10. I can go throw up these Cabbage Patch pictures on the door. So, it's, if that's your, then I looked at all the pictures of all the other boards, and I'm like, these people are gifted at this and very talented, and they spent all morning or day up there doing that. And that's fabulous. Yeah. It is not my gifting. As I was hanging that thing up on the door, I was like, this is not my expertise. And this is why I'm not an elementary school teacher. I don't decorate blackboards and all the things. So that was, sometimes we do things out of necessity. Right. It had to be done. You have to do it, and you just kind of push through and you do it. Yes. But I think if there is a way to say no and to do the things that you are the best at, that God has qualified you for, then that's the best use and where you're going to feel the most fulfilled.
Well, and sometimes it's a learning experience, because I'll have said yes to something 3 months ago, and then the date comes and I'm like, why did I say yes to this? Yes. Someone else could have done this. Yes. It's,
and it would have gotten done.
Right. And it was not a good use of my time, and I'm probably not the best person for it. I struggle with saying no to good things. Yes.
It's hard.
It's always in my struggle, and I don't have FOMO or anything where I'm like, I'm not afraid of missing out. I'm very happy to be at my house and miss out on the event.
Yes.
But it's just, I don't know, when I feel like somebody needs me,
Yeah.
it's very hard for me to say no,
Sure.
you know.
And with our kids, I think when our kids ask us to do something or, come on the field trip or be up at the school or come eat lunch with us. And you're like, I want them to want me to be there, you know, and I do want to be there. But it's like trying to balance that with having a job and, so I think moms feel a lot of guilt with that,
Yeah, but as we wrap up, let's talk a little bit about the guilt, about the mom guilt associated with working and having to say no to things. How have you managed that?
I think I may have shared about this last time or two that I was on here. When I was a young mom and my son was in preschool, I remember going up to the preschool and I had been downtown and I'd been at work and I had lunch with one of the partners and, I was like bebopping in to pick him up on time. And that preschool teacher looked at me and she said, "You missed our Thanksgiving lunch."
Oh.
And I said, "Parents were supposed to come to that? I thought y'all were just sitting down eating some lunch."
Yeah.
She was like, "You were the only mom that didn't come."
Oh my gosh. No, you have not told me. That is heartbreaking.
And my eyes filled up with tears.
Oh my gosh.
And our sweet friend Michelle looked at me and she was like, "I was here. He was fine. He didn't even care that you weren't here. He was happy as a lark and he was totally fine. Don't let her make you feel guilty."
Wow.
And I still did.
Sure.
Because I thought, how did I miss that? Like somehow I missed the memo. It was my first kid. I didn't know that all the parents came to the Thanksgiving lunch. I just thought they were having a Thanksgiving lunch.
Yeah.
In the preschool thing, it's a whole thing if you're a working mom
Listen.
because they have so many activities that you're supposed to be at. You really can't even have a job.
No,
So
it's bananas. Truly.
So, I just wasn't aware of that because he was like 2.
Yeah.
So I did not know that the 2-year-old's parents showed up for the Thanksgiving lunch.
Yeah.
But I've never forgotten that because the guilt that hit me in that moment of, I don't want to ever do this again.
Yes.
So then I'm like constantly, oh, do I need to be there? What do I need to do? Do you want me to come to lunch with you? Do you need me at your band concert? Trying to be what I want my kids to be. But honestly, he didn't even notice and didn't even care.
Right.
And there's so many kids that their parents have full-time jobs and they can't come to everything.
We need to take the pressure off of all of that nonsense.
Yeah. It's hard.
Well, like, Jenny, okay, look, listen. I mean, even with our kids that are in elementary school, thankfully the pandemic, one of the blessings of the pandemic is that we are not in the classrooms all the time anymore with all these parties and stuff. But pre-pandemic, I mean, we were up there for these parties and there's field day and there's awards and there's concerts and they want you to come.
It's all coming back now though.
Is it?
Yeah.
My parents were never at a class party. Like that was not an expectation.
Yeah.
And why have we created this expectation that moms and or dads are supposed to be at? Like when we went on the field trip last week, every single kid's parent was there. Like why? What are we doing?
Right.
I don't know. I just feel like it's bananas.
Yeah.
And it's unrealistic for us to be able to do all the things all the time.
Right.
We've got to let that go.
I think you're trying not to disappoint your kid and you
Right.
don't want them to be the only one
And
without
really,
somebody there.
I don't want to be judged by other mamas.
Yeah.
And by their
she
teacher.
didn't show up. That poor little girl didn't have a mama with her.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's just part of our society, I think, that we live in, of the expectations of moms is just so much more than moms of the 80s that, sat out and drank a Fanta or something,
Let's get back to
while
that.
their kids just did who knows what
bring
all
back
over the neighborhood.
The aerosol hairspray and the Fanta or whatever they were doing.
My dad talks about in the 60s growing up in California that she would just like holler out his name at dinner time and somewhere in the neighborhood he'd come running. It's just like so many more expectations on moms now. And, we have the opportunity to be a blessing to our kids and we want to be, that's what Gather is all about, is helping moms be intentional and make those choices, but just letting go of the guilt that comes with that. So if you're a mom that you work and you're not able to go on field trips, or you have a disabled kid at home and you're not able to go on field trips, or whatever your situation is, that you don't have that guilt. Like, don't let that take over your heart and your mind, because that's the enemy. You know, that's not God saying, "Oh, you're a bad mom. You didn't do this."
And for the rest of us who are, if you do get to show up to the field trip or you're the teacher in the classroom, please, for the love, do not watch what you say to mamas. Do not put this pressure on them. Nobody needs this. And just be careful about what you say.
Yeah. absolutely.
Jenny, thank you so much for talking about this. I am so thankful we kind of had a chance to talk about working moms and those interruptions and what that looks like. Because, we have so many working mamas, and it's just not a topic that we have even embraced up to this point. So thank you for being here. Sure. Hey, our moms are going to want to connect with you. Tell them how they can do that.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Jenny Lynn, Lynn. Jenny is Jenny, Jenny Lynn Worsham, Worsham. So, and then on Facebook also.
Okay,
so you can go to our Gather Moms website, gathermoms.com, and you can find out more about Gather. As moms that are working moms, having community. I've been reading a lot of stats lately that so many moms don't have community because that's the thing that gets cut out when they are working. Yeah, is they don't have any mom friends. And so at Gather, we are all about making that not be your reality and helping you find intentional community in short bits. And so we'd love for you to hop over to gathermoms.com, and you can see how you can either start a group or find a group near you. And find that community of moms, because it is too hard to do all of this on your own. That's right. You need other moms to help you along the way.
That's right. Thank you so much for being here, Jenny. And moms, we will see you next time. Gather Moms is part of a whole community of women who mom in any way, and we want you to connect to that community. Go to gathermoms.com to learn how to join a Gather group.